I almost passed out at a Halloween party because of my costume. How a creepy, tight-fitting mask nearly caused a medical emergency. So, this is a bit of a crazy story that happened last night, and I'm still in disbelief about it. I'm posting here to see if anyone has ever had something similar happen to them, or if I was just the victim of the most bizarre accident of all time. Let me start from the beginning. I, 24M, was invited to a Halloween party by a friend of mine, Sarah. I hadn't seen her in a while and I was looking forward to a fun night out. The theme of the party was the creepiest costumes, so naturally, I decided to go all out. I ordered this insane costume online. It was a full-body skeleton suit with glowing eyes and a creepy mask that made me look like a zombie. The thing was expensive, but I figured, hey, it's Halloween, why not? The night of the party, I showed up looking like a walking horror movie. People were definitely impressed by my costume, and I was getting tons of compliments as soon as I walked in. Everyone was in high spirits, drinks were flowing, and there was this awesome vibe of spooky fun. The only downside was that the mask I was wearing was hard to breathe through, but I didn't want to take it off because it was just so cool. So, a couple of hours into the party, I'm chatting with a group of people when I suddenly feel this odd sensation in my chest. It's kind of like the feeling you get when you're out of breath, but worse. I try to shake it off, but then I start feeling dizzy. I assume it's just because I've been wearing the mask and it's messing with my airflow. So I decide to step outside for a bit to get some fresh air. Now here's where things went south. As I'm walking through the front door, the dizziness gets worse, and I can feel myself swaying. The air outside feels good at first, but then my vision starts to blur. I put my hand on the fence to steady myself, and that's when I hear someone shouting. I look up, and it's Sarah looking panicked. "Are you okay?" she yells, running toward me. I try to wave her off, thinking I'm just dehydrated or something, but I can feel my legs giving out. Before I know it, I'm on the ground. Sarah's kneeling next to me, but I can't focus enough to even tell her what's wrong. My chest is tight, my head is spinning, and I'm struggling to breathe. I think to myself, this is it. I'm going to pass out right here, at a Halloween party. That's when Sarah calls 911. Update. Okay? So I'm back to update you all on what happened. I still can't believe what a wild turn this whole situation took. I really wasn't expecting to end up in an ambulance after a Halloween party, but here we are. I was in full panic mode. My chest felt like it was being crushed, and I could barely catch my breath. The paramedics didn't waste any time. They quickly assessed the situation and put me on an oxygen mask. By this point, I'm starting to freak out because I have no idea what's going on. I thought I was just dehydrated or maybe just a little too much costume and alcohol. But things were getting serious really fast. They rushed me into the ambulance, and I heard them talking to each other in code, something about possible respiratory distress and need to rule out a cardiac event. I was freaking out even more now. I tried to ask if it was my costume, but they were so focused on getting me to the hospital. They just told me to stay calm and let them handle it. My heart was pounding like crazy, and I felt like I was about to pass out. When we arrived at the hospital, they took me straight to the ER, and the doctors were immediately asking me about my health history. Honestly, I felt like such an idiot. I couldn't figure out what was happening. One of the nurses noticed I was still wearing the mask from the costume and asked me if I had been wearing it the whole time. I said yes, and she immediately told me they needed to take it off. That's when everything clicked. The mask I had been wearing wasn't just a creepy Halloween prop. It was made with a really tight, breathable fabric that wasn't suitable for long-term wear. Apparently, it was restricting my airflow without me realizing it, and I had been breathing in too much CO2 and not enough oxygen. The dizziness, tight chest, and inability to breathe were all symptoms of hypoxia, lack of oxygen. I was basically suffocating myself slowly without knowing it. The doctors were relieved it wasn't something more serious like a heart attack, but it was still scary. They gave me some oxygen, monitored my vitals, and kept me in for a few hours until I was stable again. It turns out that if I had stayed in that mask any longer, things could have gotten much worse. After everything settled down, I ended up spending the night at the hospital for observation, and they made me promise not to wear tight-fitting masks like that ever again. To say I felt embarrassed is an understatement. I was the guy who almost got himself sent to the ER over a Halloween costume. Sarah was super worried the whole time, but she ended up laughing when I explained what happened. Apparently, I wasn't the first person to get in trouble with that mask, so I guess I wasn't alone in being an idiot. Now, I'm back home, resting up, and trying to recover from what might be the most ridiculous emergency I've ever had. So, to everyone out there, please be careful with your costumes this year. A creepy mask might look cool, but it could literally be life-threatening.